Got my coffee. Try to shut this chair up a little bit. Fuck. Okay, well, I'm going to continue on with what I'm going to call a series. Um, Same shit, different hook. And it's just like, what good does all this shit do you, really? And so I wanted to maybe go out of character and just become a real ass today. So a hook is, well, I'll read you some examples here because I got this page open. 20 things not to do if you bug out. 5 tips for the best bug out location. 5 best places to bug out in the United States. 7 reasons bugging out could get you killed. So those are hooks. See oh, well, what are those 7 reasons? I wonder what that means. 5 tips to help me handle extreme environments after bugging out. Oh, let me read that one. So they're just hooks. It's a way of grabbing your attention in that little 3 or 4 seconds that they have your time while you're scanning through or flipping through your news feed on your phone, just zing, zing, zing. And it's just called a hook in marketing. So this one, um, and I'm not bashing on um, the blog or any of that. Um, it's just going back to what I was talking about is like how useful is this information just because it's a hook that catches your attention and you read it, and it may be extremely informative, but eventually you reach a saturation point to where you're like, this shit just doesn't fucking matter. So the one I was reading today, and I talked about it in the first one, was the top 100 bug out bag items. Now, 100 items is just a shit ton of stuff. Let's just get that figured out right fucking now. I'm going to turn this around a little bit here so I can keep an eye on the door because I'm at work. So, let's examine. First of all, it says we'll get a high quality bag. Well, yeah, I guess, duh. I mean, if you had to bug out, bug out means like get the fuck out. It's like run. Zombies are crashing down your door. Chair's still noisy. So yeah, you'd want to have a good bag. It's not a prerequisite. I mean, if you just getting into prepping, um, just get the bag you got. You know, buck. But if you're going to put 100 items in it, it might need to have a good one. Pack enough gear to last 3 days. All right. Don't make your bag too heavy. So these are just kind of a little bit of the story leading up to this article here. 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Now, I found that to be true in all aspects of life, not just prepping. If you have one pocket knife and you lose it, well, you're kind of fucked. But if you have 2 and you lose 1, then you still have 1. That's what that means. 2 is 1, 1 is none. 3 is for me, and 4 is even more. That's kind of my thinking with a lot of this shit that I buy. And I'm not a gear junkie, but I do have a lot of things. I'll see a cool knife, I'll buy it, I'll put it in a bag, I'll put it in a pack, I'll put it in my pocket. I got 3 or 4 in my truck. But that's only because I like edged weapons and knives and stuff. And some of them are just shit knives that I found walking around. And, some crackheads must have left one on my dump trailer here at the office. And so I took that and sharpened it and had a real nice case. And it's probably only a $30 knife, but it's mine now. So throw that in another vehicle. And so they're laying around. So 2 is 1 and 1 is none, but the more the merrier. So their list is 100 best bug out bag items. So they start out with a compass, and that was the one thing I talked about in the first of the series, I guess. You don't really need a compass. you're bugging out. If if you've lived in the area, the apartment, wherever you are that you got to bug out from for more than, I don't know, a month, you pretty much can find your way out of town. And since you're bugging out, you really don't need to find your way back into town. And you should have a pretty decent lay of the land. I mean, it's not like you get your compass out when you drive across town to go to Starbucks. It just, it's that way. It's that way. Over there. Turn left. Emergency whistle. Um, an emergency whistle is good if you're lost or stranded and you want to be found. Now, the whole point of being bugging out is you don't want to be found. So that would be a couple items you might want to have in your backpacking bag, a compass, so you kind of can go, my camp is due east from here, so you can find your camp because you want to get back to it. Um, a whistle, you get lost, you want to be found. So when you're bugging out, that's the least of your problems. In fact, you don't want to be found. So a lot of these items, I think, belong more in a backpack when you're out hiking, camping, fucking off, but not in a bug out bag. You don't need them because the first paragraph in the article is to have enough food for 3 days. Well, if you pile all this shit in there, you're taking up volume, ounces, weight, space, um, where you could be putting food in there and water or anything more important than a fucking emergency whistle. Sure, it's small, might be built into your watch band or something. If you got it, then great. Or just learn to whistle. So that's one item that I think is just doesn't belong in a bug out bag. A GPS device. Go with Garmin, it says. Once again, it's like the compass. If you're hiking or doing whatever you do leisurely, then sure, a GPS device finding your way home might be nice. But to me, bug out means the end of the world as we knew it. Shit hit the fan. If you're bugging out because there's a tornado, then you get in your car and you drive to a hotel. So none of these things are actually bug out items so far. Maps, local maps. Well, I don't get that either. It's nice for a camp trip, but you're bugging out. So you got to have that mindset. It's like you're going to grab your shit, you're going to run out the door. You're going to be so hurried and so panicked if it's zombies eating your neighbor's brains that you're not going to really know if you ran out the front door or the back door. You're just getting out. You're bugging out. It has connotations of like last minute ditch effort, in my opinion. So you don't need maps. If you've planned your bug out route, then you might have a map or two just of where you're going to come back and forage and scavenge. But that's down the road, 3, 4, 5 days later, maybe even a month later. So unimportant. Ham radio. We talked about comms. I don't really give a shit. Walkie talkies. I guess if I was bugging out with my wife or some other family members, walkie talkies for short range would be kind of nice, but not necessary. Um, because you're in a survival situation. So, and it's not like a survival situation because you went hunting and got lost and now you're trying to survive. It's you're in a survival situation. You're not out, you know, on a fucking day hike while your kids are back at camp because it's now become a dangerous world. So I would say stick together. Always go with somebody else and keep track of where you are and get to know your area. Reach out maybe a little bit and then a little bit more because you're checking out your surrounding area. You're not just out on a nature hike. A book light. I'm too into light discipline to worry about that. Yeah, once again, there might be people looking for you or just looking for anyone that might have food and shit. Candles, yeah, I guess. Um, could be nice, but you really got to watch your light discipline. And candles, especially if you go to, Bed Bath and Beyond and buy a bunch of candles because they're on sale for a closeout, and they smell like fucking lavender. That scent, which is also part of scent discipline or smells, would be a bad idea. Same with cigarettes. Um, Fire steel. Now that's definitely yes. That's on the list. And if you have it as part of your EDC, it might not be as important to have in your bag. And then it jumps down here to flashlight. Once again, no go on that. If I had one and it was small enough, then it might be okay for night if I got to wander around and go to the bathroom. I have this knife here. It has a little light, on here. It's not going to blind anyone. But if I had to find something in my backpack while I'm hunkered down in my shelter or something, that's plenty. So out of the list so far, I said fire steel, maybe a small flashlight just for in a dark area, in your cave, in your shelter, in your tent. But even in a tent, it becomes like a big glow light, when you turn on a flashlight. So now instead of having this little beam of light, your 8x8 tent looks like a big water bottle with a flashlight in it, just radiating out light. So I say no on that unless you really watch it. Fire starter. Okay. Once again, okay, cotton balls soaked in Vaseline is good. Um, or better yet, instead of having fireballs in Vaseline taking up space, you could take um, Fritos corn chips, something like that, that will burn quite well because they're so greasy. And then if you end up not needing your fire starter because everything's working for you, then you could eat your Fritos. You're not going to eat those cotton balls. So you've taken two items and converted it into one that has a double use. You can eat the Fritos if you don't need to start a fire, So something to think about. A Fresnel lens. Had one that I kept in my wallet, but it got so scratched up it couldn't focus the beam. That was kind of cute. I kept it in my wallet as my EDC. It's a third, form of fire starting in. You got your lighter, you got a fire steel, and then now you have a lens that will focus light and start a fire. So now you have three things in your pack. Stick to the fire steel, and you're good. Headlamp, no. Lighter, well, I just said that, right? So, okay. So now we have one lighter, and it's got matches and a solar lantern. So these things are all against light discipline as far as all them flashlights. So out of that, I would say the fire steel, um, maybe a lens if you had a small one that takes up no space, and then matches a lighter. They have one other thing, magnesium thing, but I think that's like just get a ferro rod and buck all that shit, and then um, a lighter. Food and water, it's talking about here, an alcohol stove. It's kind of bulky. Um, I guess it'd be all right if you had plenty of room, but and in a bug out bag, it might be nice because they don't put off as much light as a fire. So you could cook, you could heat up your food that way. But my 3 days food is going to be probably 3 or 4 MREs, so I can just add water and they'll heat up. So I don't need an alcohol stove. Bottled water, yeah, your canteen, but water's heavy, so maybe a live straw as opposed to bottled water. And then it says another camp stove, a can opener, Um, Canteen, yes. So of those, the alcohol stove, no. Bottled water, just make sure your canteen and stuff and have a life straw. Camp stove, no. Can opener, get one of them GI Joe can openers and or learn other ways to open a can without a can opener. Takes up space. Canteen, yes. Collapsible bowl. You kind of got to remember you're bugging out here. This is not a camp trip. You're bugging out. Bugging out, like I said, has this kind of meaning that it's like shit has hit the fan, fucking bugging out. Otherwise, you're just going to a hotel. So uh, I got a spork that just hangs from my thing, so I'm good for the utensils and stuff. Collapsible water bottle. I guess. I mean, you can't boil water in it. A cook set. Use a stick. You know, you're bugging out. Fishing kit. Um, I have a sling bow that I made, and I still haven't put my fishing reel on it. But I'm not all about fishing. I'm just about killing a fish and eating it. So I would rather bow fish. But I think having a small fishing set where you could put some lines in the water and let them do the work while you're doing something else. So it's kind of like trapping and having a trap line. You know, you put all the hooks in the water and then you go to sleep and then you set out all your traps and then you go and sleep. So let the device you bring with you do the work. So yes, on a fishing kit, food, sure, MREs, beef jerky, pork rinds are good. Fuel, well, no. See, because now you need fuel for your alcohol stove, which we didn't bring either. So, you know, uh, multivitamins, that's a scam. You couldn't pay me enough money to eat a vitamin, you know. So, spatula, I guess, you know, if you brought eggs and shit that you were going to flip over, but otherwise, um, you're going to put some water in a pot, you're going to boil it. So that way, if you don't have to run it through a filter, and if it's clean water, you know, from a stream, but you're not sure, you're going to boil it, and then you throw whatever you've killed into that, and you make a stew. So spatula utensils, no. Water bottle with filter, I have one of those, and it's actually part of my backpack. It sets on there, so I don't even know it's there. And that's what I'd have some water in also, you know, at bugging out. So I'm not going to bring bottled water, but I'm going to have my two military canteens and my water bottle with the filter on it. And then I have also have a small Berkey, which I can smash down pretty easy. And if I'm gonna not get all these other items that I've listed off, then I would probably take that. But if not, I'll just resort back to the other way of filtering water. Water purification tablets, sure, they're small, got those. First aid kit, we talked about that, you know, small one, they're light. You can actually use a couple pockets that you're not using on your backpack to kind of make a easy access first aid kit. It's not a trauma kit. Talking about iodine tablets, um, which is anti-diarrhea medicine. Uh, I guess if you got room for it. N95 masks. Uh, they're light, they're small, so I guess you could fold about 10 of those up and stick them somewhere, and you could use them. Quick clot gauze that goes into the first aid kit. Tourniquet. Uh, uh, I'm torn on that because I'm not a medic. They have some pretty small Israeli type tourniquets that you could probably be stuff into your little first aid kit and not take up too much room. The tourniquets, you got to be very careful with them. And if you're going to carry a tourniquet, you should learn how to use it. So now we get into the personal hygiene stuff. So bug spray, no, it's not essential. Chapstick, I haven't used that for 65 years. Dental travel kit. Uh, I have you know, a small toothbrush and a small tube of toothpaste in my bug out bag, or my it's just my camping equipment. Or, hike backpacking kit, which is also my bug out bag. Um, but like I said, you could, if you're not eating carbs, you could use your finger and some, ashes. Deodorant, don't give a shit. Hand sanitizer, uh, whatever. Lotion, no. A mirror, a small signaling mirror would be nice for signaling, not for shaving or any of that shit, because I'm not going to bring any of the shit to shave, so fuck shaving. Shampoo and conditioner, it would be nice, but I'm not going to bring that either. Bar of soap, every time I go to a hotel, I rob all their small little bars of soap. So I have a bunch of those dispersed out throughout the bag here, there, wherever they fit without taking up space. Solar shower ain't going to happen. Sunblock, no. I live in Arizona. I know how to stay out of the sun when it's hot. It's just don't fucking go in it. Toilet paper and tablets. Yeah, that is like gold. So you take the cardboard tube out of it and you can smash it down pretty good. And then you can pack a roll like, here at the office and at home. If the roll gets kind of small, I'll pull the tube out of it and fold it up and stick it in my backpacking equipment and my bag. So I got it. Worst case scenario, I think that's why cowboys probably always carried a handkerchief or two, and then just rinse it out whenever you got around to it. Towel would be nice, but I'm not going to be bathing. Wipes would be okay, but I'm not going to pack those either. So shelter and clothing, all weather blanket. Yeah, I recommend wool blankets. They're heavy and they'll keep you warm. And wool is probably the best insulator on planet Earth. So that's my take on that. It's heavier, but then I just threw out, probably 75% of these items. That's just a big list, but let's look at the list logically here. If you're bugging out, don't even add this stupid shit to your list. Bandana, yes. Carabiners are just hooked onto everything I own, so they're kind of irrelevant, but they're there. They're not climbing ones, because I'm not going to be rappelling off a fucking mountain. Clothing, I consider as part of my EDC. So I had a real nice pair of shoes that kind of got worn out for work, but they were super nice and comfortable. So I had hiking soles put on them by, like Vibram, and so I have those, and I wear shoes to work that I could hike in if I had to bug out. I'm probably going to be wearing whatever I ran out the door away from the zombies with. So um, I don't think there'd be room in the the bug out bag for boots and shit. So put them on and run. I happen to have a real nice lightweight pair of hiking boots that are in my backpack for hiking, but then I take those out and then I put them on when I hike, and then I put my other sneakers in there, which are lighter, smaller, and I can get more shit in there. So that's a judgment call. If you got wool socks, a wool base layer, some good wool clothing, a wool blanket, that's kind of your shelter. Gloves, I would like a pair of gloves, but I never wear them ever, even when I'm working. So I'm not used to wearing them. They'd probably be handy. I do have some pigskin, very warm, minus 20-degree gloves that I had for when I used to ride a dirt bike out in the mountains and stuff. So they're also in my bag. So that's a yes. Goggles, whatever. Hat, sure, if you've got one, but just put it on and run. But if you don't have it, no big deal. Mylar blanket, I got a bunch of those stuffed in little pockets because they're small. A neck gaiter, I do not have and would say whatever. Pantyhose, those are great. They'll keep you warm, but they're synthetic and they're very dangerous to have on your skin if you get, your pants catch on fire because you're wearing some stupid fucking Under Armour shit. So it creates a second burn. It melts to your skin, and then so when they're treating it, now they have to scrape off this fucking nylon and this Under Armour. That's why the United States military says that the soldiers on duty can't wear Under Armour or synthetics because it's too dangerous. Paracord, um, yeah, I have little things, little bracelets I've made out of paracord, little carabiner hooks that hold shit that are made out of paracord. I got a little tiny spool of paracord. All my boots are laced with paracord, so that way I can use that for more than one reason. Poncho, I've never bought one. Probably oughta, just because it looked cool. Sleeping bag, that's kind of a given. But if you had a good wool blanket, you could forego the sleeping bag. A tarp, working on making a really lightweight, water-resistant tarp instead of buying one. But I have a different one in my backpack. But I'm not too damn concerned because I can throw together a shelter pretty damn quick. Okay, so tools, hatchet. Um, got about 20 of them, but I don't know if I ever carry them when I'm out hiking. And if I grabbed it in time and had room for it, I would probably carry it, but they're heavy. I'd rather carry my pistol. A knife, I got a fixed blade. I got a kukuri and my pocket knife and some other knives. So yes on that. So they say a fixed blade, a folder, and a pocket knife. So and a machete. So yes, 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 yes. Multi-tool. Um, I have one that's strapped onto the straps of my backpack. Hangs here. They're kind of heavy, and in a bug out situation, if I was actually weighing the odds, like should I take this 1 pound thing or one more pound of beef jerky, I wouldn't bring the multi tool because I'm not bugging out in a junkyard where I got to take shit apart. I'm I'm going up into the mountains, so the knives or things like that are useful. But I you know it would be nice for cutting wire and stuff, but I'm just wondering how much would I need to do that in that 3 to 5 days that I'm trying to not be found. So I don't know on that. Um, rope tightener. I don't know what that is. A saw. Got some of those. They're real light, folding ones, and they work probably better than a chopping device here in Arizona because the wood's really hard. So you could saw through it faster than hack through it with that hatchet. That's why the hatchet I didn't bring. And the saw, I say, yeah, if you've got room. Scissors, what's the fucking point? Shovel, if you got room, but they're heavy. Slingshot with rounds, so that's the wrist rocket or the sling bow I made. So I got that. Wrench, adjustable. Uh, I'm torn on that one too. Duct tape. Now, I did a video on duct tape and snare wire and saving 22 ammo. I think it's called ammo storage. You can find it on Prepper Guy, and if I find that, I'll put it in a little doodad up there, or I'll put it in the description. I'll try to remember that, or it'll be at the end slate when you get to the end of the video, because that was kind of cool, and it's a good way to store your ammo. And then when you seal it up, um, you end up having quite a bit of duct tape and some snare wire. So that comes with me because I'm bringing my 22 anyway. Dry snacks. Um, beef jerky, pork rinds. Pork rinds are light. You can carry thousands of calories and hardly weigh anything. They're bulky, but they're pretty damn good. Um, flash drive. Uh, they say to have your important documents on a flash drive, but the other day I went to motor vehicle to get my license renewed, and they wanted my social security card. Well, I had it on a flash drive, but they want the card, the physical. Let me touch the card. So I think as the government grows more weary and worried about terrorism and all this shit, they're trying to force us to, to have our papers in order, and they will not accept those documents. It might be great if you fell off a cliff and someone found it and they go, oh, here lies fucking Bob, died. But other than that, I don't really think that's that important, but I do have a flash drive with a lot of audiobooks on it. It's lightweight. Gorilla tape, they just said duct tape. It's all the same. Money, you're bugging out. I mean, it would be nice to have a pocket full of cash, but I never have a pocket full of cash. Pencil sharpener, playing cards, pocket survival guide, power bank, Ranger bands, solar battery charger. So I think a lot of this stuff is based on some form of normalcy bias because you're not going to need money when you bug out. And I doubt most people are going to bug out when things are just kind of fucked up. They're going to bug out when shit has happened. When shit gets real, they're leaving. Money's no longer of any value. So, maybe money in the form of some silver coins that are easily figure, what they're worth. But that's a pocket full of change and you're set. Pencil sharpener would be nice if I get bored, but we're talking about bugging out. Once you're done bugging out and the world is ended, then you can maybe go scavenge and find some of these items that you kind of wish you had, but you didn't, like playing cards and a survival guide and, all that, which is all based on bringing all this shit that you didn't bring, if you're like me. Um, but I do have some survival guides on my flash drive, which will work with my phone. So, power bank, I got a little portable solar thing, so set there. I got a couple of them pocket little chargers that don't take up any weight. So if I'm listening to an audiobook, it'd be nice that if I could have extra battery. But it's definitely a comfort item, not a reality keep alive item. Trash bags are awesome. If you brought trash bags, then you could forego the poncho because you can cut the corners out and head out and use it for a rain slicker, basically, if you had to. Car charger, phone charger, waterproof case, writing materials, zip ties, and Ziploc bags. Okay, so I'm going to just pretty much say no on all that shit. So out of that list, I think you can see how I look at it. And out of 100 items, what did I see is, yeah, close. Um, where were we? Let's just start from the very motherfucking beginning again. We agreed that we needed, a ferrocium rod or a fire starter, and food and a water filter. So out of the top 10, whatever they have there, we found 3. First aid kit, yes. Some masks, sure, why not if you got them. Quick clot gauze, sure. Um, and then out of all of the hygiene, we kind of went with mainly maybe a small toothbrush and toilet paper. Now, if you wanted to bring bug spray, because bugs seem to think I am the one to eat, it'd be nice. I could give up a lot of these comfort items to carry bug spray, but eventually, you're going to run out of it, and then you're going to still be miserable. So get over it. And then as far as the, sleeping bags and all that, we've got a, wool blanket, mylar blankets, paracord, maybe a poncho, the, 3 knives that they recommended and I kind of agree with. Um, so really, duct tape and some stuff like that. So as you can see, um, not a lot out of that is actually what I would call flat out fucking necessary. Nice to have, but not required in a bug out situation. Now I know I'm ripping apart a blog that some guy put a lot of time into, and I don't mean to do that, but semantics matter. If you're bugging out, you're running for your life, and you're lucky enough to grab your bug out bag, you don't want all that stuff in there. You want what I've rattled off, and then some stuff that you think is highly important for your life. And then it's lightweight enough to where you can pack it full of 3 or 4 days worth of, in my opinion, would be beef jerky and, high fat, high calorie food, no carbs. So there you have it. That was my second in Same Old Shit, Different Hook series. And I think I'll find a few more of these and try to go through them just to boil down the fact that as we scan through all of these articles and posts, a lot of them are just the same thing, different packaging as far as the words and the hook and all that. And so I feel it does the prepping and survivalist community a disservice to just put garbage out there to get the viewers, to get eyeballs so you can make a few bucks. You know, if you come to me and you want information, I'm more than willing to give it out for free. I don't want 1,000 downloads. I just want to help somebody. So to me, I look at it as these people are just in it for the SEO and the hits, the likes, the shares, so they can advertise and sell some dopey ass product that usually has nothing to do with true survival. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed this, and let me know. Subscribe, hit that little bell wherever it is, and so you get notified. I appreciate that. Love all my viewers and my listeners on prepperguy.podbeam.com. Awesome group. Send me your thoughts if you'd like me to go over some of these other stupid articles that just drive you batshit crazy too. Otherwise, have a great week or couple days until we meet again, and enjoy the apocalypse. Love you all. Bye-bye.
There's no way home. There's nothing to fight for. There's no more honor. Come to think of it, the only honorable thing to do is quiet. No!
You think the people of this country exist to provide you with position. I think your position exists to provide those people with freedom.